The Securities and Exchange Commission is responsible for regulating the trades that happen on Wall Street. One thing that they look at is failures to deliver data. This happens usually when someone has a short sale and they are supposed to deliver shares at the end of a contract. What we are going to look at is whether or not the data for GameStop is unusual. There is lots of data here. I'm just going to go second half of December. We open this up and it opens in a text file. We can see it looks very difficult to read in here. We have a couple of options, but what we're going to do is open up Excel. This Excel. This is my little text file that ends in .txt. I'm going to copy all of this. Copy, Control C, and paste it right here. And it automatically formatted for me everything into columns. Lovely. If I go down to the very bottom, I have two things that are not needed. All right, so what is this showing? We have date, awesome. We have like a counterparty, don't really care about. We have quantity of shares that were not returned, and who did it, and what price. All right, this is the price of the stock. All right, so this is done by day, which means you can have stocks appear multiple times here. What I'd like to have is I don't really care about the date. I just want to know the total quantity. To do that, I'm going to insert a pivot table. Right? Insert pivot table. Boom. All right. I'm going to take symbol and drop it here for my row. You can see all the symbols now that appeared before, and quantity as my value, and it automatically switched to summary, to sum, so total. All right. Now I have total number of shares for each of these stocks that failed to deliver. I'm going to copy this all and put it into a new sheet because I find working with the pivot tables for analysis kind of a pain. So I've got a new sheet. It's here. Let's put things in order. All right, and I'm going to delete the grand total. Okay. So now if I take this, I can visualize it as a histogram. My data is column B. It has a label at the top. It's asking if I really want to do this. Yes, I do. And there we go. I get this awesome histogram that looks like nothing. Everything appears to be 1. It's because there's like 1 or 2 values that are really far out here. High outliers. You can see these guys here. So let's just remove them. Pop from the data set. We can get rid of this guy too. They're very, very different. And we'll try this again. Still doing that. Column B. Okay. Let's see our histogram here. Slightly better. You can sort of see that there's something here. If we come down here to about like 40, let's see, search for GME. Yeah, so this is GameStop. Right. It's 71st. That means there are 70 ones that are more extreme than it, and a whole bunch that are less extreme than this. There are overall an awful lot of them. So, question is the number we have for GME weird? I'm going to post this here. This is my GME number. So let's find that out. I'm going to start by calculating the overall average of column B. So the mean, call that mu equals to the average of, so it's shift command down arrow to select everything. Right, so the average there, standard deviation, standard deviation, shift command down. Oh, right. So this is the overall average, this is my number, and this is the standard deviation. We want to know how many standard deviations is GME away from the mean. To do that, we're going to take first the point difference. This is the absolute difference between these guys. So between what we have for GME and the average. That's the absolute difference. Now we need the relative difference, and that's based on standard deviations. So difference equals the point difference divided by standard deviation. That is also the same as Z. Okay, so Z is the point difference divided by the standard deviation. Kabow! All right, so GME is 4.6 standard deviations away from the mean. If we wanted to say these things are different with 95% confidence, our critical value would be 1.96. Right? So the question is 4.6 larger than 1.96? Absolutely, absolutely. So we can tell very clearly here that what happened with GME is unusual. Highly, highly unusual. If we do norm.s.env, we no.dist, we can put this number in, and the probability that we have something this extreme or higher is that number. 6.3 times 10 to the negative 6. Quite small. Highly unlikely this happened by random chance. There's something going on here with GameStop shares. This was just looking at 1 month. You have lots of months you could go through, and that will change the number you get on the number of shares outstanding. But that's how I did it. I went to the website, got the data, moved it to Excel, and then I can do this analysis very easily.